What's up, everybody? How we doing? I love that tune, guys. I just
Me too.
love
It's great.
it.
It's great.
It's great to dance to as it's going on and everything. But how we doing tonight, guys? We are back with another Phins forecast show. We're talking about off-ball linebackers tonight. Coming right off of our edge linebacker show. These are guys that, again, you know, they had kind of a weird season with David Long, playing. We touched on this in the last episode, I know, but we have David Long who just kind of forgot how to play football last season. And, then we have Jordyn Brooks come in, play really well. So this is going to be a fun show because these off-ball linebackers, this group of off-ball linebackers, it's the best I've seen in a really long time for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
But I'm going to introduce my co-host tonight. Josh, how you doing tonight?
You know what? I'm living, fellas. I'm in a good mood tonight. I'm excited to be doing this podcast with you guys, and I'm very excited to be talking about some of these guys.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun show. Taylor, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing fantastic, especially after listening to that intro. It's an absolute banger every single time. I do think we got to update it a little bit. I am wearing the same thing from the intro, but I am about 30 pounds lighter, and also my hair looks at least better than whatever that was.
That was, I think, was taken from your very first video with us.
It might have.
If I'm not mistaken.
It might have. Maybe we'll
also, hold on. This headset was in there too.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So you haven't changed much,
yeah.
see. Okay.
A little bit, but yeah, we'll update that intro. But no matter what, we have to keep that music.
Absolutely,
it's 100%. It's got to be a mainstay. You guys have no idea. Like whenever that intro is going, I just look down at all three of us, and we're just absolutely just
fucking jamming out.
Yeah. What Josh is doing right now.
Yeah, We're dancing in the background. All right, so like I said tonight, guys, we're going to do off-ball linebacker. We're going to do, middle linebacker, kind of outside, guys that aren't lining up on the line of scrimmage. So let's start off with the main guy, the guy who really solidified this group for us last year, Jordyn Brooks. Jordyn Brooks, we got him from Seattle. He was a first-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks. And look, last year, I don't know that any of us could have asked for much more from the guy. He had been somewhat injury prone with the Seahawks, but had a full healthy year with the Dolphins last year and was frankly awesome. So, Josh, talk to us a little bit more about Jordyn Brooks.
Yeah, Jordyn Brooks is synonymous with the heart of this defense, in my opinion. Right? I mean, this dude is everything, and then so much more that you want in a team captain and a linebacker, and what he does for this team. This man embodies every single ounce of it, and then some. To your point, we did acquire him from Seattle, which I thought was shocking. Right? I mean, he's going into 2025. I think he's going to be 27 years old. So the fact that Seattle gave up on him and later on, and Tyrel Dodson, who we also have, who we'll talk about in a little bit, was crazy to me, because Jordyn Brooks came in and was an immediate impact, right? Immediate impact, was an immediate starter, hit the ground running, and really salvaged and helped cover up a lot of things that we talked about on our last show with injuries and holes in this defense, where we were plugging in, dinosaurs in some cases, and in other cases, children. It was awesome. It was really, really cool to see. And if I'm not mistaken, he's on a 3-year, $30 million-ish deal. And I say ish because I've seen various reports where it's 28, it's 31, it's 30. I have no idea what we signed him for. Like, I forgot, but it's 30-ish for enough. 3 years. Close enough.
About roughly, you throw that in there, you're good to go, man. Yeah. You can also throw reportedly in there if you want to.
Yes, that's a good one. Reportedly 30 million-ish. Cover all my bases. And I won't get into any of the stats because that's Taylor's department. He's the stat guru here. But for everything that he gave this team last year and everything that he's going to be for this team going forward, the fact that he's on an $11.17 million cap hit for this season is one of the bigger steals, in my opinion, in the NFL.
Yeah.
Outside of maybe Zach Sealer.
Yeah. And, I saw a list. It was actually earlier on the day, I think, where they named the top 40 linebackers in the NFL. And Jordyn Brooks came in at number 20. I don't know that I would have ranked him that low.
That's criminal.
I mean, on that list, you have your Roquan Smiths, your Matt Milanos, your
Mm-hmm.
obviously Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner made the list, but 20 felt a little bit low, especially for the impact that Jordyn Brooks had for the Dolphins last year.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, $11 million cap hit. The Dolphins are certainly getting their money's worth out of that contract.
Yeah.
Taylor, tell us a little bit more about Jordyn Brooks.
Well, glass is half full there. When's the last time we could talk about a Dolphins linebacker and he was in the top 20?
Zach Thomas.
Zach Thomas. Yeah.
I would say Carlos Dansby for like
maybe
for
maybe.
1.5 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
But literally that would be like the only name I'd throw in there as a middle linebacker, inside linebacker kind of player. So I'll take it. He should probably be higher, but I'll take it. 27 years old. No major injuries in 2024, 17 games played, 86 solo tackles, 143 total.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All over the place.
11 tackles for loss, 0 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 3 sacks. He did have 62 total targets. He had a 67.1 completion percentage allowed. I'm sorry, that was 82 total targets. 3 touchdowns allowed receiving. 0 interceptions. 9 missed tackles. A 5.9 missed tackle percentage. No awards in his career. But the main thing I really want to take away there, 9 missed tackles off of how many I just named out.
Yeah.
143
tackling. Combined.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Solo. Solo was 86.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This man
he ranked 8th in the NFL. 8th in the NFL in solo tackles at 86.
Yeah.
Did you also mention his 6 pass defenses? I didn't hear that. Sorry. If you did.
I did not.
So he not only did everything as a linebacker, but he was also good in coverage because he had 6 pass defense, which I believe was 2nd on the team or 3rd on the team.
And I should throw this out there just because I mentioned the edge rusher video as well. All the stats I'm pulling are from Pro Football Reference, ESPN, or Sports Reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like you guys said, he was a tackling machine. He was all over the field. I think he got better as the season went on. I think he got better once. And I hate to pick on David Long because he was so good for the Dolphins in 2023. Yeah. But I think once David Long left the field and once the Dolphins realized this guy is just completely unplayable for us. We said in the last episode, it was baffling how much of a drop off there was for this guy, but
insane.
Yeah. But I think once he left the field, Jordyn Brooks was better. He was out of position less. He was, so I think as the season went on, as he got more comfortable with Anthony Weaver's scheme, as he started playing with players he was more comfortable playing with, he began to flourish. So I think what I'm looking for this season is just not only more of the same, but I'm looking for him to be even better this season. I think he can be.
But yeah, when was the last time that we could say as a Miami Dolphins organization that we had a 4-down linebacker?
Zach Thomas.
Or Carlos Dansby.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have even said that for Dansby. If I'm being honest, he was a 3-down linebacker, but he was not
very good. He was not very good in coverage. Dansby was terrible in coverage.
So I mean, this dude is, rock steady, right? And I wanted to say rock steady and bebop because I'm a Ninja Turtles junkie, but this man, I shouldn't call him a dude or a child. This man is a human wrecking ball, and he does like I said, I don't mean to be redundant, but he does every single thing you want your captain and your star linebacker to do, and that's what he is. If you disagree, tell us. Mention it in the comments. I think he is a genuine star linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah. And to be fair to Seattle fans, when Jordyn Brooks was coming over and Jerome Baker was going over to Seattle, a lot of Seattle fans were like, yeah, Brooks is good. He's just not great. We kind of feel like we got just an even swap there. And I do feel like Brooks is far better on Miami than he has been for Seattle.
Yeah.
Like there was always like something missing with his play in Seattle that in Miami so far, he's been able to fill that void, be a top linebacker on this team and in this league. And granted, 1 year is 1 year. We're not going to keep talking about David Long the whole episode, but it is such a good cautionary tale for a lot of players, especially in this position room. So we have to see him do it again. Yeah. And, man, I can't wait to get to the next name as well, because there's a lot going around with
but I will say this is a perfect example of what a change of scenery can do for a player. And we say it all the time. Hey, maybe this guy just needs a break. He needs a change of scenery. He needs to get off the team he was drafted for, get off the team that he signed a free agent contract for, and might not have looked like he was panning out. Go to a completely different system in a completely different state with a completely different set of expectations and see what happens. And this is a prime example, right, of what the good side of that argument looks like.
Well, and and to your point, Taylor, like, we did just come off 4 years of watching Jerome Baker do his thing. Jerome Baker was, in my opinion, the epitome of mediocre.
Hot and cold.
Hot and cold, mediocre, whatever you want to call it. Jerome Baker, he lacked that extra something that you were talking about that Jordyn Brooks brought to this defense.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know what kind of season Jerome Baker had for the Seahawks last year. I can't imagine he had the impact for them that Jordyn Brooks had for the Dolphins. He is the true quarterback of this defense, and I couldn't be more thrilled to see what his encore is going to be after last season.
Well, I can tell you this. RotoWire, for any of you that trust this website, has him ranked 5th among 2025 linebackers, projecting 140 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 INT. Mike Wolbert of the dpshow.com, I don't know, they came up quite a lot, places him as a top tier linebacker 1, meaning in the top 5% of linebackers, noting his consistency, expecting over 140 tackles and 3 sacks and 2 interceptions.
All right. Well, I'm here for it. And I think that, again, he was all over the field last year. I expect more of the same this season, especially with a stronger group of defense, hopefully a stronger group of defensive tackles, stronger defensive line in front of him.
Now, if everyone imagine this front 7, right? If Kenneth Grant comes in and plays like we all expect him to play, with Zach Sealer playing the way we know he'll play, with Chop Robinson on one side and Jalen Phillips running from the other side, and maybe Bradley Chubb once he's fully healthy. Well, I could say the same for both of those last two. Having Jordyn Brooks basically have the pick of the hole, whatever hole he wants, right? To crash through and to get the TFL, or this dude's going to be able. It's going to free him up to be even more of the player that we know he has the ability to be, that he showed that he could be last year. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Taylor, do you have anything else you'd like to add regarding Jordyn Brooks?
Not really. I just would like to point out how wild the situation is with Miami and Seattle with linebackers last year, because Jordyn Brooks comes over to Miami, Jerome Baker goes to Seattle with Tyrel Dodson, and not only that, you have Ernest Jones, I believe Ernest Jones is his name, going to Tennessee. Seattle, I believe, trades for Jones, I think they trade Baker for Jones, and then because of that, they let go of Dodson. Dodson goes to the Dolphins. It's an insane just wheel going on there with Seattle and Miami, just, I guess, giving linebackers to each other.
Yeah, passing linebackers back and forth. So speaking of Seattle linebackers being passed over to the Dolphins, the next guy we're going to be talking about here is Tyrel Dodson. Now, for the Dolphins last year, he played in 8 games, started 3, but I think I don't know why Seattle released him. I don't know what the problem was there. It was a shock to all of us, and it was a surprising shock to see him come to the Miami Dolphins. And when he came over, I think we felt an immediate impact, and I think he played really well next to Jordyn Brooks. So, talk to us a little bit more about Tyrel Dodson here.
Yeah, honestly, he's another 27-year-old, right? I think that's great, because both, assuming he's the starter, which I think he is, besides Jordyn Brooks, both of our starting linebackers are still in the prime of their careers at 27, right? I think, at least a handful more years of them playing at the top of whatever they can provide. We claimed them off waivers from Seattle through November and January. To your point, started 8 games, right? Or started 3 games, played 8, and only has a $2.5 million cap hit for this coming year, right? So we're getting a starter, right? It's a 1-year deal in 2025. We brought him back on a 1-year deal, 2.5 million. So 1.17 mil base with some signing bonuses and some workout bonuses and stuff like that to get him to that 2.53 that he wanted. And I think this year is a prove it year for him, right? Because I think if he turns in another season, if you look at what he did in those 8 games that he played, and I don't want to snipe stats from Taylor, but and you kind of project those out to a full season, those are phenomenal numbers for at last year would have been a part-time linebacker. Yeah. If he can come in,
they are phenomenal numbers.
No, they really, no, I'm not exaggerating. They really are. I mean, they're almost better than Brooks in a lot of cases, which is crazy. So the fact that we got him for pennies, really pennies and nothing. I mean, we claimed him off waivers. We didn't have to trade anything for him. We didn't have to do anything like that. And we signed him to a 1-year deal. He wanted to come back. It was a prove it deal. If he can do it again and show us over a full season what he can do, this could be a big ticket item, within reason, right? But
he's setting himself up to really cash in next offseason. Yeah. If he repeats what he did for the Dolphins last season. So
for a full season.
Yeah, for a full season. But he goes in, and I think we can pencil him in as a starter next to Jordyn
for
Brooks.
Sure. Yeah.
So Taylor, tell us a little bit more, on the stats side about Tyrel Dodson.
Yeah, I could totally do that. And if you guys can one of you guys pull up his first 8 games with Seattle? Because I'm curious as well why he did get released from Seattle. Any Seattle fans listening, comment below. Please let us know why you guys think the Seahawks dropped him. Yeah. I know, again, Ernest Jones went over there, and he was a high tackle production player. Mm-hmm. So maybe that was why, coupled with maybe I'm assuming the stats aren't as great.
Well, I have him here.
Go ahead.
So 71 combined tackles, 41 solo tackles, 30 assists, 5 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. 2 passes defended, no interceptions. Actually, he got his first 3 interceptions of his career with the Dolphins last year, which is wild.
Was that with Seattle or with the Dolphins?
No, all 3 of his interceptions last year came with the Dolphins, and they were the first 3 interceptions of his career.
No, I'm saying the stats you just read out.
Yeah, no,
those are with Seattle.
Yeah, so
okay.
Excluding the interceptions, all the other stats are with Seattle. So
and he had 2 sacks.
Wasn't bad. Yeah,
and he had 2 sacks, and he played 9 games and started 9 games.
Right. So he wasn't bad. I don't think he was bad. He
led the team in tackles before he was waived.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
And again, I don't watch a lot of Seattle Seahawks football games. I watched him in week 3 when they played the Dolphins, and that's the extent of what I watched with Tyrel Dodson last season. I don't know why they released him. It was shocking to me then. It's still shocking to me.
It seems like it worked out for him with Jones, but it's still perplexing to me. And I think those numbers leads into the stats I have here of his combined season pretty well. 27 years old, as Josh mentioned, no injuries in 2024, no major injuries anyways. 17 total games, 9 with Seattle, 8 with Miami. 59, again, this is combined with all 17 games. 59 solo, 107 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 0 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 54 times targeted, a 79.6 completion percentage allowed, 1 receiving touchdown allowed. He had 3 interceptions, as Keith noted. You said it was his first 3 interceptions of his career.
Yeah.
And by the way, what insane interceptions he had. I think he had 2 one had. Yeah.
Yep. And 7 pass defended.
Oh, man. And 13 missed tackles with a 10.8% missed tackle percentage. No awards to speak of yet. But this is a guy to me that, like Jordan Phillips, there is genuine potential here. I think with Dodson, it's less so like I see Jordan Phillips as at least like a consistently good starter. Maybe he doesn't have as good as a year as he did last year.
Are you talking about Jordyn Brooks?
Yeah, Brooks. Yeah,
Okay.
I could see Brooks being as good as he was last year. With Dodson, there's a bit of a wild card aspect to him, to where he can either, like you guys mentioned, he can cash in, have another insanely good season, or he ends up being more of a depth piece that doesn't really live up to that. But at that point, I think that's a risk worth taking for inside linebacker too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a low risk, high reward with this player, I think. And I'm really optimistic about the rewards because this is a player I really like. And I'm really glad the Dolphins got him.
Yeah, I mean, week 17 versus the Browns, 15 tackles, 1 interception, 1 pass defense. He earned AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah.
That's the kind of player he can be, honestly. I mean, genuinely can be. That wasn't a fluke.
Right. Now, week to week, I don't know if that's something we can expect from him. That seems a little bit too much to expect. But I also think with Tyrel Dodson and even Jordyn Brooks to a lesser extent, this is a deeper linebacker room than the Dolphins had last season. So I think what we're looking at here is a bunch of guys that don't, you don't need Tyrel Dodson to go out there and get 15 tackles every week and an interception. You don't need Jordyn Brooks to, it would be great if he did. And I think he can certainly either match or eclipse his stats from last season, but you don't necessarily need to because the Dolphins did a really good job, in my opinion, of kind of shopping in the bargain bin and making this linebacker room deeper and more talented than we've seen in a really long time. So with that being said, I think we're going to move on to KJ, unless you guys have anything else on Tyrel Dodson here.
No,
I do have one quick thing because you brought up a great thing about the bargain bin thing with both Brooks and Dodson.
Yeah.
Two players that are, I don't want to say Brooks is on a prove it deal, but I think he could possibly get a better deal in the future. And the same thing with Dodson. And you think back to the Dolphins in the past with Darnell Ellerby and Philip Wheeler and players like that.
Yeah,
I far would prefer this option.
Absolutely. And when you look at Jordyn Brooks, yeah, he could be looking to get an extension if he does anything close to what he did last season. And Tyrel Dodson's on a 1-year deal, so this is a prove-it deal for him. If he goes out and does good things for the Dolphins, I'm not going to put a stat line on it, but if he does good things for the Dolphins, he's kind of setting himself up for a long-term deal, either with the Dolphins or with another team. And I think, based on how he played last season, that's something he could certainly cash in on this year.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to KJ Britt here. KJ Britt was a good guy the Dolphins brought in from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is another guy. I don't think he's as good in coverage. He's more of a thumper. He's more of a downhill type of guy. He's more of a guy who you're going to bring in on, bona fide running plays. But again, this is a guy who makes this room deeper and a little more talented. So Josh, talk to us about Mr. KJ Britt.
Yeah, 25 years old, right? Still super young. 6'1", 235. To your point, Keith, this dude is not someone you want on passing downs, right? But this is a guy you want on run plays. This guy is a tried and true full speed tackling machine and volume tackler, right? So he's the kind of guy that if he were to ever get to a point where he's a regular starter, this is the guy that racks up 160, 170 type tackles a season, right? Yeah. Those are the kind of numbers that he gets. He could get, right. And for us, I see him playing a lot of special teams. I see him playing rotational snaps, being a contributor on the team, right? Not a starter. I don't think he'll ever start this year, and barring injury. But I like the fact that he's young. I like the fact that we brought him in on a 1-year deal, $1.195 million cap hit for next year. Which is, for those cap nerds, how that breaks down is 1.17 million base with a 167,000 signing bonus. Right, that's it for a 1-year deal. We brought him in from the Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And honestly, I think these are the kind of moves, these 1-year deals that can turn into multi-year contracts if they pan out, right? And I like the fact that we brought in different things. We brought in young KJ Britt, for example, and some rookies. We brought in veterans for a couple that we're going to talk about here in a minute. And it gives diversity to the room. right? It gives, recoverability. It gives, someone that can step in and high motor, high energy. I need you to go out there for the next 2 plays and play your fucking ass off. And KJ Britt's the kind of guy that's going to go in there. He's going to rip his shirt off and he's going to go nuts. And he's going to come to the sidelines and suck down water and oxygen and go back in 2 or 3 defensive plays and do it all over again for you.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, I'm sorry, Josh. It just goes back to that conversation we've been having almost every position room episode, to where we talk about the mission statement for the Dolphins this offseason. How can you win games that turn into fights?
Yeah.
And I think you get players like KJ Britt, and he's not the only name here. The entire defensive line room is pretty much those guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you want somebody in a fight, you could throw a dartboard at that defensive lineman and they'll win you that UFC fight.
Yeah. A lot of the guys on the O-line now, I think, are those guys. James Daniels, Jonah, oh, man. Aaron Brewer was already one of those guys. Then you put 2 brawlers right beside him, 2 maulers. Oh, God, I cannot wait to watch this offensive line next season. And it's just what you said, Josh. He's not a guy who's going to start. He's going to play a lot of special teams. But it's all about those tough downs, playing in those tough games late in the season.
Yeah. No, for sure. 100%. And I think KJ Britt could be a player, for example, that if he shines the way he wants to and the way the team expects, could be in for a re-up. Maybe it's another 1 year. Maybe it's a 2-year with a team option in the second, or a 3-year with a team option in the third, or something like that, right? Not high dollar value, not crazy money unless he balls out like crazy. But yeah, I was actually really excited about KJ Britt, because you go back and watch his tape. This dude's a thumper and a half.
He's one of those old school type of linebackers.
Oh, very much so.
Just a downhill type of guy who's not afraid and actually really wants to stick his nose into the line of scrimmage and make
violent
plays. Yes.
He's a violent car accident kind of player, right? He's the kind of guy you want to see the neck pads on,
Yeah, Brian.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of player he reminds me of.
Yeah. So Taylor, talk to us a little bit more about KJ Britt here.
All right. So he is 26 years old. He didn't have a major injury in 2024. 14 games played, 40 solo tackles, 72 total tackles. I'll just make sure I had the right name here. 2 tackles for loss, 0 forced fumbles, 0 recoveries, half a sack. He was targeted 30 times. He had a 73.3% completion percentage allowed, 1 receiving touchdown allowed, missed 7 tackles with a 8.9% missed tackle percentage, and no awards in his career thus far. And like we've been saying this whole time, I think those stats do reinforce a lot of what Josh was mentioning. He is somebody who's going to, I think, fill in as a depth piece, again, on special teams. If he has to come in and be that thumper, I think he can do it. Don't really want him in passing downs. But overall, I'm really happy with this linebacker room. And we're not even done yet, by the way.
No, we're not. And this guy can also be a spot starter. He started 11 games for the Bucs last year. So this guy can also be a spot starter, in place of an injured player. I mean, again, we go through all these scenarios, we go through all these guys, and we act like there's not going to be injuries, and we all know very well as Dolphins fans how much injuries can impact this team. When you bring in a guy like KJ Britt, who's not necessarily going to be a starter in ideal circumstances, but should something happen to Tyrel, Dodson, or Jordyn Brooks, they have to miss a little bit of time, KJ Britt can come in and do an admirable job for you at the very least. And he does have starting experience, and he's kind of worked his way into a starting role. This is a guy who I'm excited to have in this room, if for no other reason than he just makes it deeper. And this is something that this is something that we couldn't really say about the Dolphins for a while. That they spent all this money on Teron Armstead or Tyreek Hill, and they kind of did it at the expense of their depth.
Yeah.
Well, this linebacker room and, the edge room before it, there's depth now. There's room for us to not have to panic should somebody miss a little bit of time with an injury. So KJ Britt he's just a nice, it's like a warm blanket, man. It's just a nice insurance policy to have.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean, dude, the guy, to your point, started 11 games last year for the Bucks, which is a solid. I mean, to be a starter on that defense, you have to be good. You
Yeah.
have to contribute something, and he's only 25 years old, which is
Right.
insane to me. So I don't know how we landed him, or why he was an unrestricted free agent from the Bucks. Why I mean, maybe they didn't want to sign him. Maybe they were going in a different direction, obviously. But yeah, that's a warm blanket that I'm glad to have in our cupboard, because there will be nicks, there will be injuries, even if it's a couple plays in a game, not necessarily some kind of crazy serious blown out knee and one of our linebackers misses the whole year.
Yeah.
But there are nicks and dings and bruises and a broken rib or a cracked face or something, right? Something that, or a fucked up finger, where this guy can go in and tell and quell the concerns and hold down a linebacker position. And we're not at bated breath waiting for a rookie who's in there, for example, to screw up, right?
Or, I mean, and he's taken a lot of heat on this show in the past. Sorry, but Duke Riley. If I had to see Duke Riley on the football field as a replacement in the linebacker room one more time, I was going to scream.
Mm-hmm.
He took bad egg. He great special teams player. I will not take that away from him. But as a linebacker, as an off-ball linebacker, as a guy who would go out in coverage, as a guy he just took the wrong angles on pretty much every play. It was almost like he was doing it intentionally. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think KJ Britt is good enough to fill that role.
Not only that, and you guys brought up a great point about depth. Depth really matters, especially on a team like the Dolphins that, Keith, as you said, has been using star players and big contracts in place of depth over the last few seasons. Another thing I do want to point out is just the reality of the league. Nothing's guaranteed.
No.
There's only 53 guys on a roster, and although I think it's unlikely, it's kind of what I was saying with the Benito Jones conversation a few episodes back. If there's some freak chance that Benito Jones doesn't make the roster or KJ Britt doesn't make the roster, part of me is looking at that going, okay, who beat KJ Britt out for a roster spot? Because again, it's not like he's a star player or anything, but he's a guy that, as you both just talked up, a depth guy who fits a role and can step in as a starter. So I think bringing him in, at least for this period, it's something that is much needed for this team. Also, just to see what they have in the depth of this position room.
Yeah, this is one of those signings where you're like, okay, if it doesn't pan out, cool.
Yeah.
But if it does pan out, cool. Because you've got a 25-year-old linebacker with a chip on his shoulder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're going to move on to another guy who probably has a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
A veteran.
A veteran, yeah. Well, I mean, a veteran. He's 27 years old, just like Jordyn Brooks, just like Tyrel Dodson. But this is a guy who's won a couple of Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mr. Willie Gay Jr. So again, this guy won a couple of Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. He started a ton of games for him. He's been an impact player for them. So Josh, talk to us about Willie Gay. Yeah.
So, came from New Orleans, signed a 1-year deal. There's a reoccurring theme here, right? 27 years old, stands 6'1", approximately 245 pounds is what I could find online. Signed him for a 1-year deal, 1.1 million. Hope it's not $100. With a base salary being 1.17, with a signing bonus being 167.5. Very similar to the player we just talked about, right? This guy's good. this guy can be good in situational play, right? I don't want to get into the stats again. That's my boy Taylor down there, right? That's your stick. But yeah, this is the one guy that I was kind of surprised when we signed. Right. I understood. I mean, I wanted Tyrel Dodson on a longer term contract, more so than a 1-year deal. I was stoked when we got KJ Britt. Willie Gay Jr. came out of nowhere. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. I like this. This is another chess piece, right? Another bullet in the chamber, if you will, for
really trying to shore out the position.
Yeah, just really kind of finding
3 signings in one offseason.
I mean, yeah, and you look at all of the players before we signed Willie Gay, and you could see, okay, this guy does this, he will fit this role.
Yeah.
This guy does this, he will fit this and this role. We have a captain. This guy will fit this role, and we're missing this. And what this is Willie Gay, and it's really cool. It's really, I'm excited I'm really excited about this linebacker room. And we said it at the top of the show. It's been more than a decade since I can say that with 100% honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a guy who, when he was with the Chiefs, he was on Super Bowl winning teams, playing Super Bowl football for a really good defense, and he made some impact plays for them. Yeah, he made some impact plays for them, especially in the playoffs. This is the kind of guy, who comes in with a little bit of swag, a little bit of pedigree. I don't know that we want him starting for us.
No,
but again, this is a guy you're gonna see him in a rotation. You're gonna see him come in to spell Tyrel Dodson or Jordyn Brooks on various plays throughout the season. So don't be surprised if this guy comes in and get you a key interception or get you a key tackle somewhere, because that's what he does. So Taylor, talk to us a little bit more about this guy.
The other thing too is it's not just as a depth linebacker piece; it's a depth edge piece as well, because Willie Gay can play on both.
Yeah.
So I think he fits, he ends up being depth at edge as well, to where, man, both rooms. Keith, I think you mentioned it earlier, I don't want to say shored up, because injuries happen and we'll grow to regret that a few months from now. But I feel so much more confident in this. Let's just compare it to the secondary room that we're going to talk about in our next episode.
Yeah.
With the corners. But go ahead.
Well, again, you look at the Dolphins linebacker room this season, and then look at it just as early as last season. Last season we had David Long, who we thought was going to be great and wasn't. Jordyn Brooks, who we didn't know, he was kind of a unknown coming in. And then behind them, who'd we have? Duke Riley. We had, or in 2023, we had Duke Riley playing, starting for us. Or in 2023 in the playoff game against Willie Gay's Kansas City Chiefs, we had, the corpses of Melvin Ingram and Justin Houston rushing the edge for us. This just feels like the Dolphins went out of their way to shore up both linebacker positions, whether it's edge or off ball, and Willie Gay was just another piece in that puzzle.
Yep. And getting into the stats here, I called him a vet. He is 27 years old. I think I called him a vet not only because of the Kansas City years, but he also spent a year in New Orleans. And last year in New Orleans, no offense, Saints fans, but it was a rough one. It really was. So hopefully you guys have a better season in 2025. But that's all I'll say. Injury status, didn't have any major injuries in 2024. Played in 15 games. 19 solo tackles, 28 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 10 times targeted, a 50% completion percentage, 1 receiving touchdown allowed, 0 interceptions, 3 missed tackles, a 9.7% missed tackle percentage, and no awards in 2024 or in his career thus far.
Yeah.
But it's like we were talking about this whole time. He's a guy, I do expect him to make the roster.
Yeah.
With KJ Britt, it's a thing of he might not, and if he doesn't, I'm more excited for, I guess, whoever took that spot. Willie Gay Jr., I would be surprised if he didn't make this roster because of his hybrid nature.
Yeah, but I will say this. He's definitely a rotational piece, and we're not glazing all the Miami Dolphins players as starters. We know that these guys are what they are, right? Willie Gay, KJ Britt, they're not starters. They could be spot starters in a pinch if you absolutely need them to, but that's also okay, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want our fans to think that we sit here and we're like, oh, this player's a starter. This guy's the best one to ever play the game. No, we're not saying that about Willie Gay. And by any
stretch. You can be happy about backup players.
Well, they're so necessary, right?
Yeah. And what Keith just said too about the depth being missing. So whenever we get to rooms like this, and why we're so happy about a guy like Benito Jones, is because we're sitting there going like, these are depth players. I'm thrilled with that because the problem is for the last 2-3 years, especially in the Flores and McDaniel era, it's been those are the starters.
Yeah.
Miles Gaskins is a starting running back in the Flores era. Like that is insane.
Or Salvin Ahmed, for the running back room. Or let's drag Emmanuel Ogbah, and he was a warrior for us last year. But let's drag Emmanuel Ogbah off the scrap heap and plug him in to play the other edge position for us. And again, he did okay for us. But he wasn't an impact player. He wasn't who we expect Jalen Phillips and or Bradley Chubb to be, but with Willie Gay, like we're not having Duke Riley, who just needs to be on special teams, playing meaningful snaps for us. We're having Willie Gay coming in to spell a Tyrel Dodson or a Jordyn Brooks, or having KJ Britt, who I do expect to make this roster,
Me too.
spell a Tyrel Dodson or a Jordyn Brooks. On a running play, when you need 3 linebackers, KJ Britt's going to be that third guy that comes in and thumps into the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
This is what we need. This is what we're talking about here. So this is a deep room, and I like that. I'm excited for that. And I, as a Dolphins fan, I should be even more excited for that because of all the injuries the Dolphins have suffered. It feels like we've been cursed the past couple seasons with injuries. This kind of helps make me feel a little bit better about any injury that could come along.
Yeah, you know what this is for me, like especially this off season specifically, and when I say this off season, I mean the culmination of last year's draft picks, this year's draft picks, and the decisions that were made this offseason with the players that were brought in the positions in which they were brought into play. This shows me a team that has done a complete 180, right? Yeah. Which is very, very refreshing, right? We are no longer the old veteran, top heavy. For those of you that are regulars, I'm sorry, don't roll your eyes. Ferraris in a snowstorm, right? This team, we went from, we've said this till we're blue in the face. We went from the top or the second oldest team in the NFL to one of the top 5 youngest teams, maybe top 6 youngest teams in the NFL in one offseason. And that means we've brought in, we've lost or let go or traded away very old players, and old in NFL terms.
Yes.
And brought in players to fill roles with very specific visions. And I'm not saying it'll work out. I don't have a crystal ball, right? I have no idea how Willie Gay is going to turn out, or what, KJ Britt's going to do, or even how Tyrel Dodson will handle being a starter. But what I do know is that these players and other players that we've covered, and ones that we will cover in future episodes, being the secondary and the safety rooms, these players are finally being put in the positions in which they should be playing in. And that's not an indictment. Look, KJ Britt's not a starter. Sorry if you think he is. If he needs to start for a game, he can. Yeah. And to your point, we couldn't say that last year.
Nope.
If we were ripping up shells, we were digging people out of the grave to play for us. We were putting rookies out of position. We were playing linebackers at edge players. We were playing edge players at safety position. It was a shit show. This season, we're starting the season at least with a very young core, with what to me is a relatively clear vision of where these players are going to play in and what capacity they're going to contribute to this team. And it's a breath of fresh air. It really is. I don't know if it'll work. Like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but this is one of the better positions this team has been in quite some time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we got into this conversation here, because I think it is something we could apply to many position rooms on this team. Running back, wide receiver, even I might get a little bit of heat for this, but maybe even tight end because of the blocking nature of somebody like Pharaoh Brown, that I think is going to be excellent on this team. But the problem is there's not a whole lot behind, I guess, Pharaoh Brown and now Julian Hill and Darren Waller. But you still have offensive line. I guess you can say tight end as well, the cornerback room, a lot of thin positions on this team. So when you get something like the D-line, the edge rushers, the linebackers, the running backs, you really want to get into it and talk about it because it's something that the Dolphins have been lacking.
Yeah.
So whenever they do it, it's like, man, great. They're finally listening. It's a turnaround to 180, as Josh said. And you're really hoping that Mike McDaniel, who came into this league as a head coach with a lot of promise and has done a lot of good for this team, especially with the offense. And he's also been a lot, I don't want to say bad, just stubborn. I think is the best way to describe him.
Very much
so when you're seeing these moves, you're seeing actual, to me, maturity, at least in the offseason, of, hey, you know what? My way isn't the highway. Let's see a different approach. And hopefully that translates to on the field because that's when it all matters, not what we're talking about right now.
I also think McDaniel, he was kind of tired of having to plug in, practice squad players to play meaningful minutes for the Dolphins. To your point, Taylor, this was and I know this is a linebacker show, but like we're talking about the team as a whole right now. Like this is a different approach. This is a Josh, this is we're no longer a Ferrari in a snowstorm. We're a Toyota RAV4 in a snowstorm. We're
built for it.
Yeah. This is not a Toyota advertisement.
We're Ford tough. No, okay. Don't sue us.
No, but like but that is the case here. We're starting. I think we're maturing as. I think McDaniel is maturing as a coach. Chris Grier is maturing as a GM, and I think to an extent you've got Stephen Ross maturing as an owner, where he's saying, let's not give out these big contracts. Let's not give out. I will write the check. Stephen Ross has always been willing to write the checks. He's always been willing to, and I will never take that away from him. Like there's a lot of things that but I will never take that away from him. But what he did this all season was he went to Chris Grier and he said, maybe I shouldn't be writing out these big checks. Maybe I should be writing out smaller checks for more dudes to help just make this roster a more complete and well-rounded and just better roster overall. And I think that's what we're seeing this all season with this linebacker room, especially. I think this linebacker room is kind of the embodiment of what we're talking about here.
And like what Josh teed us up to all this, by the way, and like I was saying as well, like corners and tight ends, offensive line, still flawed. Do not get it twisted. We will talk about the flawed corners in the next episode, trust me. But there are so many rooms here to where we're sitting there going, man, finally, something good to talk about once we get past the starter.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So, there's one other guy I want to talk about as far as the linebackers go this, tonight. We have Channing Tindall. He was a third round pick a couple of years ago. He was the top pick for the Dolphins in that draft class. To this point, he hasn't shown us much, but he still is a physical specimen. And are we expecting anything from this season? I don't know. Josh, tell me, what do you think? You're on mute.
Rookie move. Honestly, I'd rather not. I don't really have much to say about him. I think he's very much a special teams contributor, but when you've invested a third round pick in a player who I liked coming out of Georgia, I thought he was very situational in Georgia, right? I thought he was maybe drafted a little high. He's still, granted, he's still only 25 years old, 26, something like that. 6'2", 235, 236. I mean, those are the kind of numbers you want in a linebacker, right? Yeah. Just hasn't put it together. And you know what he reminds me of? And I said this on many of our shows, both in season and at the beginning of the off season. This is the kind of player that I was alluding to Jordyn Brooks. This is the kind of player where he might need a change of scenery to develop into something, because right now he's nothing.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he comes in and he has 12 sacks next year, 6 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and 15 Pro Bowls. I mean, I don't know, right? Who the hell knows? But he's a special teams contributor right now. I only see him as a special teams contributor, and who the hell am I? I'm just some guy on a podcast, right? I mean, my opinion only matters to me and the fans and you guys, maybe not. I don't know. But I only see him as a special teams contributor. But that being said, he does have talent. It's just a matter of he's not putting it together upstairs, and that's what's concerning.
You might be right about that. And Josh, if he has 15 Pro Bowls next season, that is one hell of an accomplishment. I mean, damn.
Yeah. Other world.
Taylor, what do you think about Channing Tindall? Do you have anything to say about him?
I really liked him coming out of Georgia as well. He was a speed demon at the linebacker position, which the Dolphins, even with this new mission statement of get guys to pull the catchphrase here, get guys who can win football games and turn into fights, they still have a type. That still has been something to where no athletic freaks. Jordyn Phillips and Kenneth Grant were both on Bruce Feldman's annual freaks list,
and Chop,
well. And Chop was on it. Like,
we have a type. We definitely have a type,
guys. The difference is there's some added traits to these players. So I hope it comes together for Tindall. I'm not holding my breath for it, especially considering everything we talked about here today with Jordyn Brooks and Tyrel Dodson, KJ Britt, Willie Gay Jr. I think he's ended up being a roster bubble candidate who I hate to say we're not doing predictions here, but I don't think he makes the roster.
No, neither do I.
There's too many.
And what's concerning, the biggest concern I have with him is that he's been given the opportunities. We didn't get rid of him. He's been on this team since he's been drafted. And that means there have been opportunities, right? And we said this, we're going to say, or I'm going to say the same thing about a specific cornerback that we drafted that's on our next show. And, it's concerning because at a certain point it's shit or get off the pot, right? And, or we're going to make the decision for you. Right. Not we, but the Dolphins will make the decision for you. And I don't know, man. I think we're keeping him around because he has the physical traits you want as a linebacker, right? He's got the speed. He's got the athletic freak nature of some of the things he does. He's got the build and he's got the age and definitely has the contract. But the problem is at a certain point, you got to cut the hand off to save the arm. And, and I'm not saying that he never will pan out or that he won't even pan out for us. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't. I mean, when I'm looking at what he's put forth in the handful of years or 3 years that he's been with us, 3 years. Yeah. Can't remember however many years. It hasn't been much, right? I mean, last year it was 5 total tackles in game and a bunch of special team snaps. Like, no thanks. I'd rather put somebody like a Tyrel Dodson or a KJ Britt on the team in his place because they offer maybe a little bit more potential in the now. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said about Channing Tindall, that's going to wrap us up for the linebacker show. Guys, if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe. Let us know what you think about these linebackers, about this linebacker room. We obviously we're kind of in sync here where we think this is one of the deeper linebacker rooms the Dolphins have had in a really long time. And we're excited for it. I know I'm excited for it. So, again, tell us what you think. Please like, subscribe. Let us know about what you think about all of our videos. And look, we'll see you guys. Next time.